Welcome back, my friends. I'm JohnnyB with JohnnyB.com. Do you know how much cash you need to actually buy a home? Okay, when you go to buy a home and you make an offer, there's a hierarchy in the amount of down payment as far as the strength that's perceived by the listing agent and the seller. And now, not saying I agree with this, but this is the bias, and so we have to deal with the facts. An all-cash deal is considered the strongest. The reason is there's no loan, there's no appraisal, everything is done. As far as the financing is concerned, it's done. The next level is a 50% down. That is considered very, very strong. There's plenty of cash there if something goes wrong, if it doesn't appraise, you've got everything that you need. 30% down, we're working our way down in terms of how powerful it's seen and what the preferential treatment this offer is going to get if there's multiple offers. So 30% down is seen as a strong offer. There's 10% cushion, you're doing 20% down basically, but you've got an extra 10%. So you can definitely make this deal work. 20% down is very typical and is considered average. Anything below 20% is seen as weak. So quite typically it's 10% down. For jumbo loans, that's about as low as you can go. And that's not the first choice. Now, does it make sense that this is the case? No, it doesn't, because I've competed with offers where money was coming from abroad. Yeah, it's all cash, but the cash isn't here. Twice I've had it fail, and then we still got the offer. But it's not normal. Normally cash is good. Additionally, if you're making an offer in a fast market or in a multiple offer scenario, then you might not have the ability to have an appraisal contingency. And if that's the case, you need the cash in reserves in case there's an appraisal deficiency. And we talked about that before. Okay, let's say you're purchasing a home for $1 million. You're putting 20% down, you've got an 80% loan, and they send out the appraiser, and the appraiser says, oh, it's worth $950. Okay, so that means you've got to come up with that extra $50K delta in cash. So having those reserves to make that work makes sense. If there's no reserves for that, then they don't see you as making a credible offer. You also need reserves for the loan itself. So the lender wants to see that you've got some money behind you in case something goes wrong. And that's typically a minimum of 6 months PITI, and the various loan programs will have different requirements. It could go up to quite typically 6 to 12 months, and there are some loans that require 24 months, and that's PITI, so it's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. If you're making a 10% down offer and you have the reserves behind you for the appraisal deficiency, etc., then there's a tactic that I use that makes your offer appear bigger than it actually is. And still we're being very transparent and not defrauding or hiding any information. So I'll cover that tactic with you if it applies. There's also differences in who pays what. And I'm going to attach to this email the published document that shows who pays what in the various counties in California. And it also varies from city to city in some cases. Some cities have a city transfer tax, like Mountain View, San Jose, and Palo Alto. So if you're buying in Santa Clara County, that's considered a seller-paid county. That means there's certain things that are paid by the seller. If you go to Alameda County and you make an offer, that's considered a buyer-paid county, so your closing costs are going to be a little bit higher. So how do you get free firepower for your offer to make your offer appear bigger than it is or more attractive to the seller and the listing agent than it otherwise would be? Well, the way you do it is you show max proof of funds. If you're making an offer with 20% down and you have reserves that are huge and you show those reserves, it's very similar psychologically to having a 50% down offer because they can see the massive reserves and so they believe that you're solid. This is using the principle of the highest probability of close, has the greatest attractiveness to the listing agent, and the listing agent becomes the person who helps sell your offer, and we start getting the preferential treatment. So this is one of the tactics that we use. Okay, in our next episode, we're going to cover some of the forgotten costs of buying a home. It's important for you to know up front. Till then, I'm JohnnyB.
Jim Rohn once said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Exactly.
So one of the things I want you to do for homework is to think about who are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how positive are they? 10 being really positive, 0 being not at all. Anything less than a 5, I would recommend you don't spend time with them. Now some people say, but that's my mom, right? Because W. Clement Stone had me do that exercise. Make a list of all the people you spend time with, put a plus or a minus sign next to their name. Anyone with a minus sign, don't spend time with them. I said, Bill, here's the deal. It's my mom. He said, Christmas and Easter, that's it, right? Because she brings you down. She did. She was an alcoholic. She was negative. She hated men. I happen to be one. Her son, right? But she'd been messed over by several men. So, and she would always be drunk, and it was awful. So the reality is that if you're spending time with people that are negative, that are bringing you down, that are expiring you instead of inspiring you, minimize or cut out the time with them.